The Privilege and Duties of Patriotism by Thomas Starr, King, 1862. Out of the Book of Patriotism, part of the Young Folks Library, Volume 18. Yes, and when we pass higher up than these worthies of the older inspiration, to him the highest name, him from whom we have received our deepest life, him whose love embraced the whole race in its scope, the eternal and impartial love made flesh, who pronounced the parable of the Good Samaritan and shed the warmth of that spirit through his life into the frosty air of human sentiment. We do not read that he felt more keenly the alienation of his countrymen according to the flesh than he felt the spear point and the nails, and paused over the beautiful city of David to utter a lament whose burden swept away the prospect of his own lowering destiny. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, how often would I have gathered your children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Although the highest office of revelation is to point to and prepare us for a better country, even a heavenly, no one can rightly read the pages of the Bible without catching enthusiasm for his earthly country, the land of his fathers, the shelter of his infancy, the hope of his children. It is a privilege of our nature, hardly to be measured, that we are capable of the emotion of patriotism, that we can feel a nation's life in our veins, rejoice in a nation's glory, suffer for a nation's momentary shame, throb with a nation's hope. It is as if each particle of matter that belongs to a mountain, each crystal hidden in its darkness, each grass blade on its lower slopes, each pebble amid its higher desolation, each snowflake of its cold and tilted fields could be conscious all the time of the whole bulk and symmetry and majesty and splendor of the pile, of how it glows at evening, of how it blazes at the first touch of morning light, of its pride when it overtops the storm, of the joy it awakens in the hearts that see in it the power and glory of the Creator. It is as if each could exult in feeling, I am part of this organized majesty. I am an element in one flying buttress of it, or its firm poised peak. I contribute to this frosty radiance. I am ennobled by the joy it awakens in every beholder's breast. Think of a man living in one of the illustrious, civilized communities of the world, and insensible to its history, honor, and future. Say of England. Think of an intelligent inhabitant of England so wrapped in selfishness that he has no consciousness of the mighty roots of that kingdom, nor of the toughness of its trunk, nor of the spread of its gnarled boughs. Runnymede and Agincourt are behind him, but he is insensible to the civil triumph and the knightly valor. All the literature that is crowned by Bacon, Shakespeare, and Milton, the noblest this earth ever produced from one national stock, awakens in him no heartbeat of pride. He reads of the sturdy blows in the great rebellion and of the gain to freedom by the later and more quiet revolution. And it is no more to him than if the record had been dropped from another planet. The triumphs of English science over nature, the hiss of her engines, the whirl of her wheels, the roar of her factory drums, the crackle of her furnaces, the beat of her hammers, the vast and chronic toil that mines her treasures, affect him with no wonder and arouse no exultant thrill of partnership. And he sees nothing and feels nothing that stirs his torpid blood in the strokes and sweep of that energy before which the glory of Waterloo and Trafalgar is dim, which has knit to the English will colonies and empires within a century which number nearly 1/4 of the inhabitants of the globe. The red flag of England hung out on all her masts, from all her housetops, and from every acre of her conquests and possessions, would almost give this planet the color of Mars, if seen through a telescope from a neighboring star. What a privilege to be a conscious fiber of that compacted force. If I were an Englishman, I should be proud every hour of every day over my heritage. I believe I should now and then imitate the man who sat up all night to hate his brother-in-law and sit up all night to exult in my privilege. And as an Englishman, I should keep clear of the pollution of sympathy with the American rebellion. The man who is dead to such pride ought not to be rated as a man. And is it any less a privilege to be an American? Suppose that the continent could turn towards you tomorrow at sunrise and show to you the whole American area in the short hours of the sun's advance from Eastport to the Pacific. You would see New England roll into light from the green plumes of Aroostook to the silver stripe of the Hudson, westward thence over the Empire State, and over the lakes, and over the sweet valleys of Pennsylvania, and over the prairies. The morning blush would run and would waken all the line of the Mississippi, from the frosts where it rises to the fervid waters in which it pours. For 3,000 miles it would be visible, fed by rivers that flow from every mile of the Allegheny slope, and edged by the green embroideries of the temperate and tropic zones. Beyond this line, another basin, too, the Missouri, catching the morning, leads your eye along its western slope till the Rocky Mountains burst upon the vision, and yet do not bar it. Across it passes, we must follow, as the stubborn courage of American pioneers has forced its way, till again the Sierras and their silver veins are tinted along the mighty bulwark with the break of day. And then over to the gold fields of the western slope, and the fatness of the California soil, and the beautiful valleys of Oregon, and the stately forests of Washington, the eye is drawn as the globe turns out of the night shadow. And when the Pacific waves are crested with radiance, you have the one blending picture, nay, the reality of the American domain. No such soil, so varied by climate, by products, by mineral riches, by forest and lake, by wild heights and buttresses, and by opulent plains, yet all bound into unity of configuration and bordered by both warm and icy seas. No such domain was ever given to one people.